Hey everybody. So I hope everybody's having a good weekend so far. It's already June and it's hot June in South Georgia. So I have been praying and trying to figure out what study I was going to do next on my channel, and just trying to figure out what would be more beneficial for everybody. And I don't ever want to put anything out that's going to be not beneficial at the time, because I never know who's listening. I never know who comes across this page. I never know what is gonna go on. So I don't ever want to cause a stumbling block, or I don't ever want to give out any information that is not beneficial. So I genuinely pray and try to figure out what my next step is for this channel. So I'm going to go out on a limb today, and I'm going to share my stars and planets study that I do. I do them all the time, but I do not share them because I don't want it to attract the wrong kind of attention, because it's not astrology, it is biblical astronomy. So there is a difference. And I do not go by I'm very picky on where I get my information from about what's going on with the planetary alignments, or where something is in a constellation or whatever. Like, I pray very deeply, I study on it, and I do not go by astrology. Okay. So I am going to, with the advice of some of my close biblical sisters, I am going to go ahead and do a study on it for the planetary alignment that's happening in June, which is the 5 planets: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. This alignment has not happened since 2004, which is 18 years. And 18 years is very significant in the Bible. 18 in biblical numerics means bondage. So whenever I see something or am studying something, I always go to these books, which is E. Raymond Capps, The Glory of the Stars, and E. W. Bullinger, The Witness of the Stars. Those are very good biblical astrology scholars. I trust their work. I trust the pastor that studies, or that did study his work and put out studies based on it. He gave us the tools to use, so I use them. God told us in Luke 21 that there would be signs in the stars, the moon, the sun, the stars. So I ask for that knowledge. I ask for that guidance, so I can know where we are, so I can know what's going on, because he said that there would be signs there. And he also said if you ask for the knowledge to help others, he'll give it to you. So that's what I do. I do not do this strictly for myself. I ask for knowledge because I genuinely have a hunger to learn these things and to know what's going on in our world, because I don't know if you've been asleep the past 2.5 years, but our world has turned upside down quick and in a hurry. And I want to know what is happening, and I want to know what we're looking forward to. And I trust the creator of our universe to give me those answers. I do. So with that being said, I'm going to do this study. I'm going to post the written study out in the description too, if you want to read it after you listen. I'm going to open up with prayer. Father, please give me the knowledge and words to help someone with this study, Father. I don't want it to attract the wrong attention. I don't want it to be a stumbling block to anyone. Father, if there's someone that needs to hear it, I pray that they get this information and they get something from this study, Father. This is your word. I'm just a messenger. In Jesus' precious name, amen. Okay, so I am in the middle of the woods. If I'm swatting bugs or whatever, a tree hit me A tree limb hit me on the way coming in, and I swear, if I could do a bloopers on the things that I go through trying to get these studies out, oh my gosh, y'all would just laugh with me for days. Okay, so let's get started. So on June 4th, the planets started to align in planetary order, okay? So Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn are going to be in planetary alignment, and this hasn't happened since 2004. So 18 is biblical, is bondage in biblical numerics, okay? So I study numerics too, not like numerology and angel numbers and whatever else people do. I don't do that. I study E.W. Bullinger's work on biblical numerology, okay? So, the week that this started, this planetary alignment started, I was studying Jeremiah's 18th prophecy in depth every single day, trying to pick up something that I knew that was there, but I was not sure exactly what it was until I saw that this planetary alignment was happening for the first time since 2004, which was 18 years ago. And I was studying Jeremiah's 18th prophecy. So I was like, okay, that's really not a coincidence. And I'm not trying to be all woo-woo and just whatever, because I promise you I'm not like that. I literally search for common sense answers, and but sometimes things just happen. Sometimes things just fall in order, and you just know. Sometimes you just know that you are being guided in a direction. So this is mine, okay? And I'm sharing it. I'm going out on a limb. Okay. So I wanted to learn what Mercury meant, because I knew that Venus was the bright morning star, that Mars is the war planet, and Jupiter is the king planet known as the king of gods, but not our God, small g God. And Saturn is Remphan in the Bible, which is Satan's planet, the sixth planet. So I didn't know what Mercury was, so I did some research. I probably should have did a little bit more research, but I was more focused on Jeremiah's 18th prophecy at the time. But what I did find among biblical students who study along the same lines that I do, and I found that Mercury was known as Hermes, one of the 12 Olympian gods, supposedly the guide to the underworld, and was the basis for the astronomical sign for the hermaphrodite. So that sign now is used also for the transgender people. I did not know that. That was something new for me. Okay, so Mercury turned towards the star Algol in the constellation Perseus on June 3rd. So I wanted to know what that star meant. So I went to E.W. Bullinger's Witness of the Stars, page 115. Okay, I'm going to read from that. Here we have set before us a mighty man called in the Hebrew Peretz, from which we have the Greek form Perseus or Perses or Perseus. It is the same word which is used of Christ in Micah 2:3, when he shall surely gather the remnant of Israel. In verse 12, it is written, the breaker is gone up before them, their king is passed on before them, and the Lord at the head of them. This is what is pictured to us here. We see a glorious breaker taking his place before his redeemed, breaking forth at their heads of Leviathan. I just did a study on Leviathan about a month ago. So whenever I was reading this, I was like, well, that's really interesting. So, Leviathan and all his host, because Leviathan, Satan, all the names for Satan, he has his own host, which are the fallen angels. Okay? In his right hand he has his sore and great and strong sword, lifted up to smite and break down the enemy. He has wings on his feet, which tell us that he is coming very swiftly. In his left hand he carries the head of the enemy who he has slain. In his left hand he carries a head, which by perversion the Greeks called the head of Medusa, being ignorant that its Hebrew root meant the trodden underfoot. It is also called Rosh, Satan, in the Hebrew, the head of the adversary, and Al-Onay, which is Arabic, the subdued, or Al-Ghul, the evil spirit. The bright star in his head has come down to us with the name Algol, which means rolling around. It is the most remarkable phenomenon that so many of these enemies should be characterized by variable stars. But this head of Medusa, like the neck of Cetus, has one. Algol is continually changing. In about 69 hours, it changes from the fourth magnitude to the second. During the 4 hours of this period, it gradually diminishes in brightness, which it recovers in the succeeding 4 hours, and in the remaining part of the time, invariable preserves its greatest luster. After the expiration of this time, its brightness begins to decrease again. Fit emblem of our great enemy, who like the roaring lion goeth about seeking whom he may devour, then changing into a subtle serpent, then changing again into an angel of light, transforming himself continually to devour, deceive, and destroy. Okay, so I thought that was very interesting, because that is very true. We know that Satan is going to come disguised as an angel of light. He's going to come back to this earth. He's going to be kicked out with all of his host out of heaven to come to this earth to deceive everybody and transforming himself into an angel of light. He's not some scary character. There's not going to be all this craziness going on. Before he gets here, it's going to be peace on earth. He's going to be beautiful, and he's going to be deceiving the whole world just as he already is. It's just going to be a religious form instead of the political form that's going on now. Okay? So, I wanted to do Jeremiah's 18th prophecy, which is Jeremiah chapter 27. And whenever I read this study and started studying it, after this planetary alignment happening after 18 years, I was like, this is a warning. This is letting us know. Okay? So Jeremiah 27 verse 1. In the beginning of the reign of Jehoiakim, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, came this word unto Jeremiah from the Lord, saying, Jeremiah means whom God launches forth. This is supposed to say Zedekiah, king of Judah. The correction comes in verse 3. Okay, so verse 2. The word of the Lord came unto him, saying, Thus saith the Lord to me, Make thee bonds and yokes, and put them upon thy neck. This is the 18th prophecy of Jeremiah, and in biblical numerics, the number 18 means bondage. So we see that the bonds and the yokes are to be used to go into bondage. Jeremiah is telling the king and the people, you are going into bondage. I cannot tell you how many times a day I see false prophets, false preachers, false teachers say, you're not going into bondage. We are literally hearing the same things that Jeremiah heard in his day. And what did Christ tell us in the New Testament? Go to the prophets. What did they say? What did they say was happening? What were they going through? Because nothing changes. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything that happened will be happening again. This is exactly what's happening. In Jeremiah, they were running around saying, we're not going into bondage. They're not going into bondage. We're going to be fine. Everything's going to be fine. And Jeremiah said, no, you're going into captivity for 70 years. And they wanted to kill him. I mean, I get looked at crazy all the time for the things that I tell people are going to happen. There's nothing different. I study the word chapter by chapter as it's written. And Jeremiah's 18th prophecy is saying, you're going into captivity. God told us in the end times, you're going into captivity. You're going into bondage. Have you read it? He's warning you. Okay. Verse 3. And send them to the king of Edom, and to the king of Moab, and to the king of the Ammonites, and to the king of Tyrus, and to the king of Zidon, by the hand of the messengers which come to Jerusalem unto Zedekiah, king of Judah. Jeremiah is to send the messengers that came from these kings back to them with this message in hand. So we see that Jeremiah was a prophet to many nations as well as Judah. Remember that the Edomites were the offspring of Esau. They are the Russians of today. The Moabites and the Ammonites are the offspring of Abraham's nephew Lot through deception, while the people of Tyrus and Zidon are the Kenites, the people of merchandising. What do we see happening right now? trade, banking, and wherever the money is. All the messengers from these kings that come to Jerusalem to the court of the king of Zedekiah are to receive this message to carry back to their kings. So we see that that message, given 11 years earlier by God, is finally delivered to the kings as they came to Zedekiah's court. Verse 4. And command them to say unto their masters, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Thus shall ye say unto your masters, I have made the earth, the man, and the beasts that are upon the ground by my great power, and by my outstretched arm, and have given it unto whom it seemed meet unto me. And now have I given all these lands into the hand of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, my servant, and the beasts of the field have I given him also to serve him. Don't miss that. He said the king of Babylon is my servant. Now, our time, the king of Babylon is Satan himself. And God said, he's my servant. I'm going to use him to test the children. I'm going to use him to take the children into captivity because they won't listen to me. They won't listen to my commandments. They won't follow my laws. They won't listen to anything that I have to say. They've done left me. So I'm going to take them back into captivity to see if they've studied my word, to see if they know what's coming. Same thing happened back then. Verse 7, and all nations shall serve him and his son's son, until the very time of his land come, and then many nations and great kings shall serve themselves of him. All nations shall serve him. This is a type for us. It's hard to take in what's happening, but Father is taking care of business. It's hard to take in and understand that you're going to have to serve people sometimes that you don't want to, but it's God's word. It's God's word that you serve whoever God puts in place to bring the children under captivity. Okay, there's going to come a time when we fight, and we're going to know whenever that time is. Right now is not that time. Verse 8, and it shall come to pass that the nation and kingdom which will not serve the same Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, and that will not put their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon, that nation will I punish, saith the Lord, with the sword, and with the famine, and with the pestilence, until I have consumed them by his hand. If you don't serve the king of Babylon, your nation will be punished. And this is God speaking here. I want anybody that is listening to this to take this very seriously. Seek God and ask him what he wants you to do right now with everything going on in the world. What does he specifically want you to do? Not what some minister says, not what some teacher says, not what anybody says. Okay? Oh, it's really loud. Okay, so, verse 9, therefore hearken not ye to your prophets, nor to your diviners, nor to your dreamers, nor to your enchanters, nor to your sorcerers, speak unto you, saying, ye shall not serve the king of Babylon. Do not listen to anybody that is telling you, don't do this, don't do that. You seek God, and you ask him what he wants you to do. We see this a lot. Do not listen to anybody but your Father. And he's telling you exactly here, serve the king of Babylon. Verse 10, for they prophesy a lie unto you, to remove you far from your land, and that I should drive you out, and you should perish. There's going to be a lot of hurting people in the future. Verse 11, but the nations that bring their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon and serve him, those will I let remain still in their own land, saith the Lord, and they shall till it and dwell therein. Okay? You do what God says, and he's going to allow you to be blessed under bondage, under captivity, under anything that's going on. But if you fight against this word, you're in a heap of hurt. Verse 11, but the nations that bring their neck under the yoke of the king of Babylon and serve him, those will I let remain. Oh, I already read that. Okay, so there comes a time to fight back, and we will know when that is. Verse 12, I spake also to Zedekiah, king of Judah, according to all these words, saying, bring your necks under the yoke of the king of Babylon and serve him and his people and live. 13, why will ye die, that thou and thy people, by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence, as the Lord has spoken against the nation that will not serve the king of Babylon? Why are you going to die for not listening to me, is what he's saying. All the things will come upon that nation, and this is God speaking. Why are you going to die and suffer whenever I told you, serve the king of Babylon? Verse 14, Therefore hearken not unto the words of the prophets that speak unto you, saying, Ye shall not serve the king of Babylon, for they prophesy a lie unto you. He keeps saying the same thing over and over again. A prophet really just means a teacher. There are some that claim to be prophets that are prophesying right now, but don't listen to anybody but God. I don't care what the teacher is teaching. If he's telling you don't do something, you seek God and listen to what he's got to tell you. Verse 15, For I have not sent them, saith the Lord, yet they prophesy a lie in my name, that I might drive you out, and that ye might perish, ye and the prophets that prophesy unto you. Also I spake to the priests and to all this people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, Hearken not to the words of your prophets that prophesy unto you, saying, Behold, the vessels of the Lord's house shall now shortly be brought again from Babylon, for they prophesy a lie unto you. Hearken not unto them, serve the king of Babylon, and live. Wherefore should this city be laid waste? But if they be prophets, and if the word of the Lord be with them, let them now make intercession to the Lord of hosts, that the vessels which are left in the house of the Lord, and in the house of the king of Judah, and at Jerusalem, go not to Babylon. For thus saith the Lord of hosts concerning the pillars, and concerning the sea, and concerning the basis, and concerning the residue of the vessels that remain in this city, which Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon took not, when he carried away captive Jeconiah the son of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, from Jerusalem to Babylon, and all the nobles of Judah and Jerusalem. Verse 21, Yea, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, concerning the vessels that remain in the house of the Lord, and in the house of the king of Judah and of Jerusalem. They shall be carried to Babylon. And there shall be unto the day that I visit them, saith the Lord. Then will I bring them up and restore them to this place. Okay. Jeremiah chapter 27. Don't listen to the prophets. Don't listen to nobody that tells you to not serve the king of Babylon in the end times. Okay. So I highly recommend a Pastor Murray study with this. I felt the absolute need to put this chapter in here. Also, the Queen celebrating 70 years and the planets doing the 18-year alignment. Jeremiah was prophesying they were going into captivity for 70 years. And I truly wonder what all this means. I pray for guidance every day. I'm just sharing what I've been given, okay? So I'm going to end this with Psalm 17. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Day unto day uttereth speech, and night unto night showeth knowledge. There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Their line is gone out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In them hath he set a tabernacle for the sun, which is as a bridegroom coming out of his chamber, and rejoiceth as a strong man to run a race. His going forth is from the end of the heaven, and his circuit unto the ends of it, and there is nothing hid from the heat thereof. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, enlightening the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, yea, than much fine gold, sweeter also than honey and the honeycomb. Moreover, by them is thy servant warned, and in keeping of them there is great reward. Who can understand his errors? Cleanse thou me from secret faults. Keep back thy servant also from presumptuous sins. Let them not have dominion over me. Then shall I be upright, and I shall be innocent from the great transgression. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. That is just so beautiful, and I love it very much. Okay, so in Luke 21, I don't have the verse right here in front of me, but in Luke 21, when it says there will be signs in the stars and the suns and the moon, in the sun and the moon, and it says with perplexity the seas roaring and the waves are something like that. I can't quote it by memory right now, but that word perplexity, when you translate it, means anxiety. And I hear so many people say, I have so much anxiety. And in that same verse, it says that there will be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars. And perplexity will be on the earth. People suffer from anxiety very bad right now. People are suffering, wondering what's going on, what's going to happen next. And you can have absolute peace of mind knowing what's going to happen next when you study your Father's Word. I've never been more at peace in my life. And I mean, everybody's world's crazy right now. Everybody's got things going on. Everybody's got things that they're facing. But I have nothing but peace of mind right now because I know what's coming, and I just know. And that peace of mind, nobody can take away from you. I pray that this study made sense. I pray that you're blessed with this study. I pray that wherever you're led to study, I pray that you're sharing it with somebody. I'm thankful that I was pushed to share this study. I hope it blesses you. Thank you.